Today we are here to talk about April's new book releases. As with last month, I have a massive amount of books to talk about. I think there are about 40 new releases here that I am intrigued by, looking forward to, and there are a couple that I think you might be interested in as well. So I'm going to spend some time going through these books in publication date order. Some of them I have quite a bit to say about, others not so much. You guys should let me know which April book releases you're looking forward to in the comments below. If you think I should read any of them or you'd be interested in recaps of the books in a series, let me know in the comments and I can maybe prioritize them. So first of all, we're talking about the books that are coming out on the 1st of April. The first one I would like to mention is a non-fiction memoir. It's called Home of the Happy, A Murder on the Cajun Prairie. In this one, the author is investigating the kidnapping and murder of her great-grandfather in 1980s Louisiana and how this has affected not only her family, but the communities they live in. Love the sound of this one, cannot wait to read it. Rabbit Moon. This one is historical fiction. I believe it's set mainly in China. It's a generational kind of story. It's a family drama as well. The description says that it's set in Shanghai, where a fractured American family faces its complicated past. The two main characters, Claire and Aaron, are divorced now, and they are brought back together when their 22-year-old daughter is critically injured in China in a hit-and-run accident. So they have to fly over to Shanghai and kind of prepare for the worst, I think. It sounds really emotional. I think I will really like this one. The Notorious Virtues by Alwyn Hamilton. I've been waiting for this book for the longest time. I'm a massive fan of Alwyn's first fantasy trilogy. That one started with Rebel of the Sands and it was like a desert fantasy, and I loved those books when I was younger. And now she's coming out with a new one, and I'm also going to a signing of hers in, I think at the end of April. I can't remember the exact date, and I cannot wait. I actually first met Alwyn at a V.E. Schwab event in London and we got chatting, and ever since then I've been hooked on her books. Anyway, this one is about an heiress and a magical competition. It says here that Nora is the daughter of the most powerful heiress in all of Wallstad. Her family controls all the money and all the magic in the entire country, but despite being the centre of attention, Nora has always felt like an outsider. When her mother is found dead in an alley, the family throne and fortune are suddenly up for grabs. Love it. Love the sound of this so much. The next one is one that I've already read, and that's Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I really enjoyed this one. This is about a woman called Samantha and a guy called Xavier. He is a vet and she is working in marketing for a mustard company, of course, and they get together very briefly on a first date, and they know it's basically like love at first sight. But unfortunately, Sam is having to move across the country because her mother has been diagnosed with dementia and her family need help looking after her. So unfortunately, neither of them feel like they can do long distance, and yet they still want to try to make it work. It's very emotional. It covers obviously deep topics. It's Abby Jimenez. She covers some really emotional, dark stuff in her books. The main thing that stood out to me in this one was parental abuse of a child, and I'm thinking about doing a full review for this one. Maybe I've already put it up on my channel by now, not sure. The Vera Wong sequel is coming out, Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping. I've not read the first one, but I thought you guys might be interested because I've not seen many people talking about this sequel, but maybe that'll change come April. This is like a cozy mystery series. Another sequel that's coming out is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the sequel to The Tainted Cup, which I haven't read yet, but I do have it like right here on my immediate TBR. You can't see what I'm pointing at, but I promise it is here, and I'm looking forward to reading it sometime soon. I hope to read it before the sequel comes out, but I don't know if there's time yet. I don't know. So this is a fantasy mystery thriller of some sort, and the main character is a detective, I think. So I'm hoping that when I do pick it up, it's going to be really fast paced and I'm not going to have any problems flying through it. Where Shadows Meet. This is a vampire fantasy book. It's also a debut. Love supporting debut authors. Okay, so I've just seen the main character's name, hang on. So it's the synopsis says, once long ago, a girl named Favre sacrificed her wings for love. Thana, the young goddess she so willingly gave them up for, sacrificed that same love for power, but everything has a cost. Favre never got over the loss of her wings, and Thana's choice led to a life of eternal night and later their destruction. So maybe it's like a fallen angel / vampire kind of book. It's a romancy. So I might pick this one up if I can get over the main character's name. We will see. Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. This one, I believe, is a contemporary sci-fi fantasy kind of book. So urban fantasy, it's probably what I'm trying to go for here. It says here that it's the story of three siblings who, upon the death of their father, are forced to reckon with their long-festering rivalries, dangerous abilities, and the crushing weight of all their unrealised adolescent potential. So it sounds a bit like the Atlas 6 from Her meets Succession. Maybe? I've only seen a few episodes of Succession, but this is what it sounds like to me. And I think I'd like to read it. I think we're on to the 8th of April now, it looks like. So another sequel that's coming out is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I didn't like Powerless, so I won't be reading this one, but I thought you guys should know the finale to this trilogy is coming out. I can't wait to see everyone's reactions. I hope you guys like it. Another sequel is Enchantra. This is the sequel to is it Phantasma? I was gonna say Phasmophobia, but I think that's the video game. Yeah, Phantasma. It's a romantasy book. The first one is said to be Caraval meets Throne of the Fallen. And in this one, it's about a necromancer who needs help from a phantom to win a deadly competition. So it's got like trials and games and stuff. Haven't read the first one yet. I doubt I'm gonna get to it before April, but I'm gonna try my best so that I can do a recap on my website. If not, I'll do it as soon as possible. Another sequel is The Maid's Secret. This is the 3rd Molly the Maid book. I didn't love the first one. It was a like mystery thriller kind of thing set in a hotel about Molly the Maid. No idea what this sequel is going to be about. House of Blight. This is the first book in a new fantasy gothic series. I think it's only a duology. It's being likened to Sarah J Maas and Rachel Gillig. I don't know why Sarah J Maas is being mentioned here because she does not write gothic, but I suppose she comes up quite regularly anyway, so moving on. It says here that the main character is a thread mender. She holds a rare life-saving power that can cure disease and heal injuries in the blink of an eye, but magic always comes with a cost, and saving anyone sacrifices a sliver of her own life. She has always kept her abilities hidden until the powerful Fernglove family discovers her secret. And then this family are like charming, beautiful, they have powerful magic. And then there's a hot guy called Orin. And can I just say, I love the name Orin, and I feel like it should be more popular. Just putting it out there. It says here that the main character's brother becomes ill with a virus and then Orin offers to help. So yeah, I'm actually really intrigued by this one. I don't know who's publishing it. Harper Voyager. And I do tend to like a lot of their books. Sometimes their fantasy books are like a complete miss for me, but most of the time I do really enjoy them. So I'm looking forward to this. Firebird. This is a fantasy romantasy with dragons. It says here that it's House of the Dragon meets From Blood and Ash in this scorching dark romantasy. I really like the cover of this one, just putting it out there. It says here that there's a Roman general. Is this also historical? From the moment Roman general and nephew to the emperor laid eyes on Melina, he was enthralled by the Dacian dancer. Hang on. This is giving like ancient Rome Spartacus vibes. Okay, I'm sold. I am gonna read this. I also really like the sprayed edges. So on this edition that I'm looking at on Goodreads, the cover sort of wraps around onto the edge and her hair is flowing. And I love that so much. I'm going to pre-order this. Let me leave this one up. Another one that I've pre-ordered is The Wind Weaver. This is another fantasy romantasy book. It says here that a young woman reignites the embers of an ancient prophecy, unleashing a storm that could save her realm or doom them all. It says here that the continent that they are living in is war-torn and everyone fears magic. I'm guessing there was some sort of magical war or something. The main character, Raya, is a halfling and they are usually killed on sight. So she is captured and then her execution is interrupted by an unexpected saviour, one far more terrifying than her would-be killers. It's someone called Commander Scythe, which I hope is a nickname, this poor guy. And then it's talking about like saving her dying realm and the main character not being like an ordinary halfling. She's got a birthmark on her chest, which probably means something. And then she needs to help balance out the magic. I'm really looking forward to this one. Cannot wait for it. So glad that I pre-ordered. Fun for the whole family. This is a adult contemporary fiction book. This is about 4 siblings who were once inseparable. They all had like really good sibling bonds. And then decades later, for some reason, the siblings aren't talking. And one of them is a famous actress and she texts them and I guess is trying to bring them back together or something. I love the sound of this. I love the idea of there being one famous sibling. And I love the idea of there being some like secret drama that has crushed the family and then they need to get back together and become whole again, I guess. So looking forward to this one as well. Don't Sleep with the Dead by Nevo. I think this is a novella. Yeah, it's a historical retelling novella. It's a companion to The Chosen and the Beautiful, which she wrote, which is a reimagining of The Great Gatsby. So this is about Nick Carraway. And it says here, it quickly becomes clear that dead or not, damned or not, Jay Gatsby isn't done with Nick. In all paper, there is memory and Nick's ghost has come home. I don't typically read novellas, but if I was going to pick this one up, I'll probably have to pick up The Chosen and the Beautiful first, just for like context and stuff. Because even though I've read The Great Gatsby, I don't know what Nevo has done here with that story. So yeah, I'm intrigued by this one. It's being published by Tor. I tend to like their novellas, even though I don't normally like short stories. They normally do quite a good job. Cold Eternity, this one I am so hyped for. This is by S.A. Barnes, who wrote Dead Silence, which I adored, and Ghost Station, which I am waiting for the paperback release of. That should be arriving next week as I'm recording this, but I have hopefully already read it by the time this video goes up. It says here that this book, Cold Eternity, blends the dystopian dread of severance with the catastrophic approach to AI from Megan. The main character, Hallie, is on the run from an interplanetary political scandal, and she's got a target on her back. She heads for what seems like the perfect place to lay low, a gigantic space barge housing the cryogenically frozen bodies of Earth's most wealthy citizens. So S.A. Barnes writes space horror, so I'm thinking this could be like creepy rich people coming back to life from cryo-freeze maybe. I'm probably going to pick this up soon, but I won't get a physical copy until it comes out in paperback, just because I want all my editions to match. And these books are really hard to get hold of here in the UK, so I really wish a publisher here would print them, because that would make my life so much easier. But I'm really excited for this one. On the 10th of April, we have Swept Away by Beth O'Leary. I love her books. They always make me cry. She's up there with Abby Jimenez for me for contemporary romances that like stab you in the chest. So this is about a main character called Lexi who has a one-night stand with someone called Zeke, and they get together one night on a houseboat, and then when they wake up they realise that the houseboat has been swept out to sea. And I just love that. It sounds great. I love Beth O'Leary's writing. She always writes really complex characters, and as I said, she makes me cry a lot, so I'm looking forward to picking this one up. I don't know, I think the 10th of April is probably the UK release, and it's coming out on the 1st of April in the US. That's what tends to happen with her books anyway. Also on the 10th of April we have The Twisted Throne. This is Bridge Kingdom book 3. In March, read books 1 and 2 as I'm recording this, and I'm about to start book 3 in the Bridge Kingdom, and I am obsessed. It's a political fantasy, and in the first book the main character Lara is being married off to the king of the Bridge Kingdom because Lara's father has kind of been in like a silent war with this king or kingdom, and he thinks the Bridge Kingdom are cutting off resources and causing his people to starve because they control the bridge, which controls the trade between kingdoms. So Lara goes over, marries King Aaron, and then she starts to realise that maybe her dad didn't know anything, or maybe she may have been a little bit deceived because Aaron is lovely. So as I said, I'm on book 3. I'm really looking forward to it. I've pre-ordered book 5 because I am obsessed with this series. It's really well written. I have a few issues with it, but I'll talk about that in my wrap-up/review video. I'm also planning on doing recaps of this series, so stay tuned for those. On to the 15th of April, we have The Ashfire King, which is the sequel to a book that I can't remember the name of. The Stardust something. The Stardust Thief. I have it, I haven't read it, but I would really like to. The first book didn't get the best reviews, but the author has, I think, taken feedback, and she took a while to release this second one. I think she's working on her writing based on some feedback that she received, I assume, and was really like polishing this one. So this series is about gin, and I love desert fantasy, love reading about gin, so I do want to read this first one very soon. Wild and Wrangled. This is the 4th book in the Done and Dusted series, which I've not read yet. Very sorry for this being the theme of the video. But April is really good for new sequel releases. It's cowboy, branch, romance, and I do want to read the first book. Watch Me by Tahira Mafi. This is a Shatter Me book. I don't know what number it is in the series because I DNF'd Shatter Me many years ago because I hated it. But I think this is like a companion series set 10 years later after Shatter Me finally ended. It's about someone called James, who's the older brother of the famous Aaron Warner Anderson. This means nothing to me, apart from I remember my friends hated Warner in the first Shatter Me book, and then I think he has like a redemption thing, or like he's really misunderstood or something. Not interested, but this book is coming out. Strangers in Time. This is historical fiction. This is by a really well-known author. I don't think I've read any of his stuff, but I've got quite a few of his books on my TBR on my wish list. This seems to be set in London, judging by the cover, during World War II. And millions of people are being evacuated to the countryside, which is a real thing that happens to get them out of the city. And the main character, Molly, has been away from her parents for nearly 5 years, and then she returns to London to find both of her parents dead. And then it says something about a bookshop escapades with someone called Charlie. So I'm intrigued by this one. I'm probably not going to pick it up right away, but it's definitely on my list of things to consider. It's probably also going to make me cry. The Death of Us. This is a adult mystery thriller. The entire synopsis is in bold, so I'm struggling to read it. but it looks like this first paragraph says, late on a summer's evening when they were 30 years old, husband and wife Edward and Isabel's home is invaded by a serial killer. Theirs was the classic story of love that moves into true partnership, but their solid foundation implodes in the wake of this violence. At 58, they are reunited for their tormentor's trial and forced to confront their lifelong love, the secrets, passions, and encounter that bind them still. Very intrigued by this one. I like the idea of exploring how a trial that happens 28 years after a horrific and terrifying event continues to affect people many decades later. So I do want to pick this one up at some point. It does sound, as it says, like a psychological thriller. The Raven Scholar. This is an epic fantasy book. I believe it's a debut. It seems like it's the author's debut fantasy anyway. It sounds mildly like dark academia. It's about a scholar, and it says here that the emperor must end his reign, and in the dizzying heat of midsummer, 7 contenders compete to replace him. They are exceptional warriors, thinkers, strategists, the best of the best, and then one of them is murdered. So there's a bit of a murder mystery in there as well. I do like that in my genre fiction. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I'm gonna add that to my pre-order cart, I think. The Summer I Ate the Rich. This is YA horror. This is about a Haitian American girl who is a zombie, basically, and she was previously hiding that, but then I think she just decides to go all out and start eating people, and I support it. We're on to the 22nd of April now, and the first one is The Bright Years. This is a generational story, which I love. I don't know how many times I can say this. If you have any recommendations for generational stories, tell me in the comments below, because I want to find as many as possible. So this one follows a family through 4 generations. It says there's a secret son, a devastating addiction. The family lives in Texas. They're met with losses and surprises, inheritance. I think it sounds great, and I can't wait to read this one. Voice of the Ocean. So this one is about sirens, in particular one siren who saves a human prince, so a bit like The Little Mermaid, the original story. And can I just say, I hate this cover. Like, it's making me feel a bit ill looking at it, and I mean, the artist is very talented, I'm sure, but it's just giving me creepy vibes and I don't like it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. So anyway, it says here that the main character, Celeste, is the youngest daughter of the Siren Queen, and she's trying to prove her worth and join a group of siren warriors. So I imagine like they have to sing to people and lure people to their deaths. And she comes across a prince called Raiden Sharp. Of course, that's his name. And she believes that he's innocent of any wrongdoing, so she betrays her family to save him. And I don't know, it sounds fun. I'm not sure I will pick it up right away. I'm gonna wait for some reviews, I think, and probably get it from the library, and also hope that the UK cover isn't this terrifying. When the Wolf Comes Home. This is a horror book about werewolves. It says here that the main character, Jess, is a struggling actress. She finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment, and then there's a bloody encounter with the boy's father, and then she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but she's about to learn there's more to these surreal and grisly events that she could have ever imagined. So yeah, thrilling, supernatural, werewolf horror. I like the sound of that. The Pretender. This is historical fiction set during the Tudor period. If you don't know what the Tudor period is because you're unfamiliar with British history, that's fair. You've probably heard of Henry VIII, who had 6 wives. If you aren't familiar, then watch 6 the musical, because that's fantastic. And this book is about it's like a retelling or inspired by a boy called Simnel who ended up working as a spy in King Henry VII's court. So I think this is a bit of mystery thriller at the same time as being historical, and I do really like the sound of that. I've not read much historical fiction set during that time period. I'm always really intrigued by it, but I've not read a lot, so maybe I can pick this one up when I'm in the mood. Murder Between Friends. This is a YA thriller. It says here that 2 years ago, the murder of a neighbour tore 3 best friends apart, and now the killer is going to walk free, and the ex-friends are going to have to face the past and each other in another twisty thriller by this author. It says here that the 3 friends grew up on the same block and used to be best friends until one of their testimonies put the other's brother away for killing their English teacher. Love the sound of this one. Really, really intrigued by it. I'm actually going to see if it's up on NetGalley so I can read it, because it does sound really good. And again, it's kind of exploring the effect that this kind of thing can still have on people, on relationships and friendships so many years later. And that's something that I do really enjoy reading about and exploring. On to the 29th of April. We only have a few more books left. The first one is My Best Friend's Honeymoon. This is a adult LGBT romance. It says that it's spicy, about 2 lifelong best friends who go on a non-refundable honeymoon together, and discover, sometimes to find a happily ever after, you just have to ask. The main character, Elsie, has been engaged to her college boyfriend for a year and a half. Ginny has been in love with Elsie for almost a decade and a half. I think Elsie probably realises that she doesn't want to marry this guy because he's doing way too much, and so she takes her best friend on holiday with her for something that was meant to be her honeymoon, and then they get together. And I think it sounds really fun. It's not got the highest rating on Goodreads, and I am really picky about my romance books, so I don't know if I will pick this one up right away, but it's definitely on the list for like when I need a lighter romance read. Unless the reviews say something awful. I haven't read the reviews. Then we have Julie Chan is Dead. This one is a debut thriller book. It says here it's about a young woman who steps into her deceased twin's influencer life, only to discover dark secrets hidden behind her social media facade. So it looks like Julie is working in a supermarket and she feels like she's got nothing to lose. And then her twin sister Chloe is an influencer. They were separated at a young age, I'm guessing through adoption, and then they find each other again. There's a viral video that sort of boosts them into the limelight, or at least it boosts Chloe. And I believe this is probably based on a true story, because I've heard about stuff like this happening in real life. I can't remember the names of the people involved in that though. Anyway, so Chloe dies and then Julie takes over, and I'm really intrigued by that concept, so I'm gonna put this on my pre-order list as well. These new releases videos are so bad for my bank account. We also have The Amalfi Curse. This is a historical magical realism book set in Italy, obviously. That's where the Amalfi Coast is. This is a book about witchcraft, and it's by the author of The Lost Apothecary? Apothecary? Never know how to pronounce that in an English accent. I've not read that book, but I am really intrigued by this one, partly because it's set in Italy and it's about a nautical archaeologist, and she's looking for like artifacts and I think treasure, gemstones, because her father said that he found some on his final dive and she's now going looking for it. So she's looking for her father's sunken treasure, and then she ends up unearthing old stories of witchcraft and sorcery, a witch trying to save her lover. I love the sound of this one, I really do, and I hope it's good. The Floating World. This is YA fantasy. It's a reimagining of a Korean legend. I think it's called Celestial Maidens, which isn't something that I know about, but I would really like to try this one. This is being released through a couple of book boxes as well. I won't say which ones in case you don't want to be spoiled, but people who have those book boxes are very lucky. I'm so jealous. So this is about a main character who lives in the underworld, which is a land of perpetual darkness. He's an ex-soldier and can't really remember his life from 2 years ago. He woke up with only his name and his sword. There's also another main character who is an acrobat living with her adoptive family, and they're performing at various villages, and then there's a demon attack. And then I think the two of them meet. She has to save him and they have to go hunting for this creature. Not really sure about the rest of it, but I do like the sound of it. And again, I might add it to my pre-orders pile. Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zheng. This is a horror book. It says here that it's about a woman who is haunted by inner trauma, hungry ghosts, and a serial killer as she confronts the brutal violence experienced by East Asians during the pandemic. So this is obviously a topic that is still an issue now, even 5 years later, but obviously during the pandemic times, racism against East Asian people was at a high. You may have seen this on the news. So I find it really interesting that this author is kind of tackling that topic so soon, because this does sound like it should be something historical, but it's not, because people are shitbags. So I really do like that this author is bringing attention and focus to this issue. Anyway, so it says the main character, Cora, is a crime scene cleaner. So she cleans up after murders, horrific deaths and stuff. She doesn't really mind doing any of this. It doesn't really faze her because she saw her sister be pushed in front of a train, and the murderer, as they pushed her, shouted "Bat Eater" at her. And it says here, ever since Delilah was killed in front of her, Cora can't be sure what's real and what's in her head. So I think that's where the horror element comes in. Not that racism isn't horrifying already, the supernatural horror, let's say. I'm really intrigued by this one. I want to see what kind of vibe it is and how the author is tackling it. And obviously it's a topic that we should be still talking about. The Staircase in the Woods. This is by Chuck Wendig, who is an author that I haven't really gotten on very well with in the past. I find his books too waffly and Stephen King-like. I don't really know how else to explain it. I'm sure if I thought about it a bit more, I could find the words, but can't be bothered right now. So this is about a group of friends who go into the woods and they investigate a weird staircase that has appeared there. And then one friend walks up and never comes back down, and then the staircase disappears. 20 years on, the staircase comes back and the group returns to find the lost boys. This is where I'm getting like the Stephen King vibes. It feels a lot like It, but without, hopefully, the clowns. I do think I will try this one, especially because it's only short for him. It's 400 pages, whereas a lot of his books are like over 600. That's a little bit too much for me. So I'm hoping this one will be less wordy and more to the point. and I'm very intrigued by it. It sounds very mysterious. And then we're on the final book. It's called Bearer of Bad News. This is a debut book, and it's about a woman who accepts a mysterious job in the Italian mountain range, and then she gets sucked into some sort of mystery. I don't really want to know what the mystery is, I just want to go into this knowing nothing, but I love that this is set in the Italian National Park, or an Italian National Park, and I love the idea of the main character going to like a secret job that she doesn't really know anything about in another country and then not knowing what she's getting into. It's also been recommended to fans of Eleanor Oliphant Is Completely Fine, and I am a fan of that book. I really, really liked it. It's also likened to Where'd You Go, Bernadette and the Maid, which I didn't like, but moving past that, I am very intrigued by this, and I would like to read it. I think it's probably one that I'll get from the library rather than by myself. And those are the 40-ish books that I am looking forward to getting to, reading, borrowing in April. As I said at the beginning, let me know which ones you guys are interested in. Maybe you are now interested in more than you thought you might be at the start. I'm very intrigued to know if I've introduced you to any. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, leave a flower emoji just because, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye!